I couldn't focus in class. I took notes, but they didn't make sense.
I meant to get so many things done around the house, but I ended up just wasting time online. I don't even know what I was looking at.
My job requires me to be focused on details, and I'm missing. These are voices of people who have difficulty concentrating. This is a common struggle, and I know these struggles all too well. One of these voices is mine.
For today's lesson, we will talk about learners with difficulty in remembering and focusing. Here are the reporters.
The learning objectives of this lesson. At the end of the lesson, the students should be able to define learning difficulty and learners with difficulty in remembering and focusing. Identify the causes, types, behaviors of learners with difficulty in remembering and focusing. Determine the curriculum and classroom strategies applied to learners with difficulty remembering and focusing.
Learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. Before jumping to its definition, let's first start with this question. What is learning difficulty?
A learning difficulty is a condition that can cause an individual to experience problems in the traditional classroom learning context. It may interfere with literacy skills development, in listening, thinking, etc.
So learning difficulty is a condition that can affect an individual's ability to gain knowledge or to skill. It can also be described as a problem in developing an information. Learning difficulty takes place when a student is having a hard time in learning in any aspects due to some factor. It may be because they tend to forget or their minds are flying somewhere else. Learners, moreover, suffered a failing marks because of learning difficulty. Learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. There are learners who have difficulty with memory, may deficit in registering information in the memory, consolidating information in long-term memory, retrieving or accessing information from long-term memory. Can you recall one time while doing something then you forgot what to say or what to do next? Like, this is the keyword. What is it again? In a classroom setting, for example, there is a teacher who is discussing his or her lesson, and students tend to lose their focus and diverge their attention into another dimension.
Thus, it results to expected ending, which is low grade or worse, failing grade.
There are causes why students or the learners have the difficulty in remembering and focusing. It is because of the factors such as during the prenatal stage, perinatal stage, and postnatal stage. When we say prenatal, it means before birth. We all know that the brain of the fetus at that time is still basic in form. Though the brain of the fetus is basic, still they have a vague idea already what is on their external environment. So, in a normal setting, normally the mother tells a story to baby, or else the mother plays a music to have a connection to her child. So, if the child, just in case the child wasn't able to experience the way a normal setting that a mother can do, there's a big tendency that child will have this difficulty in remembering and focusing to his studies. And also, during the perinatal stage, as what I've said a while ago, when the mother plays a music or tells a story to his baby inside her womb, the baby already reacts. So this time, some reactions shows that the baby have a connection to his or her environment. So in case that the child wasn't able to experience the same way of telling a story or playing a music by his mother, it could be one factor why students have a difficulty in remembering and focusing during their learning throughout the lesson. So the next one, postnatal or the afterbirth, there are also factors that affects the student's difficulty in remembering and focusing, such as the nutrition. If ever the mother wasn't able to give his child a proper breastfeeding, there is a big tendency that the child will suffer malnutrition. And once he suffers malnutrition, it is hard for him to acquire knowledge and also understand the lessons that the teachers will give him. Therefore, the prenatal, perinatal, and postnatal plays a significant role in the development of a child.
There are two types of learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. The first one is the ADD, which is the attention deficit disorder, and the second one is the ADHD, which is the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The first one is the ADD, which is the attention deficit disorder. So what is this one? So it refers to a child who is not acting or moving around and can even look attentive during a task, but is generally absorbed in his or her own thoughts and daydreams to the point that he or she cannot finish his or her task on the time given by the teacher. So just like many other children, nag-focus sila na kanang dili sila kaayo ka kuan sa ilahang mga task tungod kay para nila isa yun ra, pero di day nila kaya nga buhaton. The second one is the ADHD, which is the high attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So this one is the second type. So it is a child who is thought to be generally hyperactive, from the word itself, hyperactive. So this child has a motor that is always running that he or she seems incapable of controlling. So he or she cannot control on his or her own actions. So he or she does everything in a hurry. So tanan niyang buhaton is dinalian, and some part of his or her body appears to be moving, which keeps him or her quiet, distracted. So that is the ADHD, the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So again, there are two types of learners with difficulty and remembering and focusing. The first one is the ADD, which is the attention deficit disorder, and the second one is the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD.
Learning and behaviors characteristics of students with difficulty in remembering and focusing. First, unable to get or keep belongings organized. So, for students with lack of difficulty in remembering and focusing, it is unable to get or keep belongings organized. Maybe their children or will be forgetting where they put their important belongings. Next, different performance from day to day. So it is a rare performance of students with different performance from day to day, because some performance or some activities is based on how we feel or the emotions we feel that day. Third, distractible and restless. So there are students or there are children that restless. They're very active. They keep on playing. They keep on roaming around. They keep on talking to their classmates or even their playmates. Next, hyperactivity. So it is the same with restless. They are very hyper. They keep on roaming. They keep on playing. They are so active. Lastly, impulsive. So they are what we call emotional. Sometimes they are so happy, sometimes they are so sad. They are easy to feel. They're easy to feel emotions, even in just simple words that you say.
Who have learning disabilities may be less observant in their social environment, may misinterpret the social behaviors of others at times, and may not learn as easily from experiences or social cues as their friends. So, some children may exhibit an immaturity and social ineptness due to their learning disability. While seeking acceptance, their eagerness may cause them to try too hard in appropriate ways. So, these are the common behavioral characteristics of individuals with learning disability. First, inability to interpret environment and social cues. So, it includes expression, body language, tone of voice, and personal space or boundaries. Then second, poor judgment, little thought about logical consequences. So it refers to the inability to make appropriate decision. The child may be unable to evaluate the different factors that should be considered when making decision. Then third, poor impulse control. It refers to the difficulty some child have in stopping themselves from engaging in certain behaviors, for example, gambling, stealing, aggressive behavior towards others. Then, fourth, need for immediate gratification. So, it's a desire to get something that resolves a craving right away. For example, the child who says, "I'm hungry," may want to eat a box of Oreos instead of waiting on the more nutritious balanced dinner. So fifth, inability to set realistic priorities and goals. So the child does not have an objective to be able to work towards. So he or she does not have a goal to finish on what he or she is doing.
Curriculum and classroom strategies. Use a memory strategies and let the students perform memory tasks. Memory strategies and memory tasks can be applied in a daily basis. It can be through external aids and internal aids. Organizing your thoughts, ideas, and tasks through the use of journals, planners, calendars, to-do lists, and doing an active reading are some of the examples of external aids. While using mnemonic devices, mental imagery or visualization, and elaboration are some of the examples of internal aids. Practice chunking and other memory strategies. Chunking is a process of making efficient use of short-term memory by taking individual pieces of information and grouping them into a larger unit of information. Through this, the amount of information that your student can remember will improve. Use mnemonic strategies. This is a technique that connects new learning to prior knowledge through the use of visual and acoustic cues. Using keywords, rhyming words, and even acronyms are some of the examples of this technique. Don't try to do many things at once. Every students have different pace in learning, so it is the responsibility of the teacher to be sensitive and knowledgeable enough about his or her students, about their capabilities in coping with different tasks at the same time. So the teachers must remember that if possible, do tasks one at a time. Manage distractions. It is also important for the teachers to take steps to prevent both themselves and their students from being distracted during the teaching and learning process, especially when you're teaching younger students, that you must keep their attention to the class, to the activities or the tasks given, and other classroom instructions. It can be by removing visual and other physical distractions in the classroom itself. Direct instruction. Direct instruction is a teacher-centered teaching method. This means the teacher stands in the front of the class, presents and discusses the information, and gives explicit and guided instructions to the students. Lectures, demonstrations, and even video or film presentations are some of the examples of this teaching method. Learning strategy instructions. This is a practice that shows the learners on how to learn and practice the content or skills that they need to acquire. Note-taking and thinking aloud can help the students process, remember, and express the information they learned. Use a sequential, simultaneous structured, and multisensory approach. This is an approach that integrates all learning pathways of the brain of your students, the visual, auditory, and the kinesthetic. Through this approach, the teacher will be able to learn about their students, about their learners' interests, and know what type of learners that the class is composed of. This approach takes into account that different students learns differently.
What practices can be applied to manage concentration?
I learned to practice a few skills, like scheduling my day, and I changed some sleep patterns. As my other depression symptoms got better, I could pay attention better too. I still play with my smartphone about as much as everyone else, but now I have better ideas about how to concentrate when I need to. I can focus now.
That ends our report for today. If you have questions, you may comment down below. Thank you.